Hello everyone. The question we have chosen for today is this one from the chapter Sequence and Series. Now, as with every question that we choose, this question too has a logic behind it for why I am covering this on this channel. We will get to that later, but let us first solve this question. Before watching the solution of this video, please give this question an honest try because I think that most students can solve this question if they give it an honest chance. Now, before starting this question, just a remark. This type of equation f of xy is equal to f of x into f of y. This relation you will see in many JEE questions because this produces a lot of symmetry which can be helpful in solving questions, or the questions are framed in a way that are symmetrical so as to ease the calculations. The question is, let numbers a1, a2 up till a50 be in an arithmetic progression, and we have some values and some equations here, or I should say some conditions here. First of all, f of x is always greater than 0. This point will come in handy afterwards, and it is defined over all values of r. So let us start solving it. First of all, as I said, this equation always produces a symmetry. We have f of a2 is f of a1 plus d because a1, a2, a3 and so on are in arithmetic progression. We have just assumed that d is the common difference. So because f of x plus y is f of x into f of y, we have this relation f of a2 f of a1 into f of d, that is the common difference. Similarly, f of a3 is f of a2 plus d, which is f of a2 into f of d again. F of a2 we can substitute from here, and then we will get f of a1 times f of d whole square. Again, as I said, this will always produce a symmetry. Therefore, f of an, where n is the general term, because if there is f of 3, the power here is 2. So when there will be f of f of an, the power will be f of a1 into f of d raised to the power n minus 1. Okay, let's move ahead. This is a relation that they have given, and when you will solve this, you will get the value of d that we have assumed, or f of d, sorry, we will get the value of f of d that we have assumed. See, f of a of 31 is 64 times f of a of 25. Again, whenever you see these type of numbers, 64, 32, 128, or like what's that, 81, basically 256, numbers like this which common higher powers, then you have to think in terms of exponent, that somewhere or the other exponents will be used. So f of 31 is f of a1 into f of d raised to the power 30 into 64 times f of a1 into f of d raised to the power 24. Again, this is very easy. This all cancels out. You have f of d raised to the power 6 is equal to 64 and f of d is equal to 2. Again, as I said, f of x greater than 0 is handy for eliminating f of d is equal to minus 2, because minus 2 raised to the power 6 is also 64. So we have to eliminate that, because of which they have given this criteria. As I said, that this will come in handy later. Okay, now the other thing that they have given is summation I from 1 to 50 is 3 raised to 3 into 2 raised to power 25 plus 1. Now LHS, let us focus on this thing. LHS is when you put I is equal to 1, f of a1, I is equal to 2, f of a2, f of a3, so on till f of a50. Now again, we already have calculated the general, I mean the general pattern of this series, of the terms of this series, f of a1 plus f of a1 times f of d plus f of a1 into f of d squared. Again, this is basically this, right? I have already told you why f of a2 and f of a3, how they can be expressed in term of f of d and f of a1. So putting that, when you, every term will have f of a1 times some value of f of some power of f of d, you will take f of a1 common, 1 plus f of d plus f of d square and so on up to f of d raised to power n minus 1. Again, just have to be a little careful about the exponents here in most sequence and series questions, but this one is a question where I feel it should not be that confusing. Generally, I myself make a lot of mistakes when it comes like, since my student days, whenever there are exponents, I make mistakes. But this one was one question where even I did not make any mistake. So this is a question that is not even tricky. Again, this is a very simple geometric progression. F of a1 1 plus 2 square 2 raised to power n minus 1, because this value is basically 2. F of d is basically 2, right? This is 2, 1 plus 2 squared till 2 raised to power n minus 1. F of 1 is common. This is a common GP, and n is 50 here. Because n is 50, so sum of GP You have this formula again. Just keep in mind the power which we have to. It is not 49. It is 50. Sum of first n terms of a GP. Now again, this value was. Let me change the color. Okay, is yellow visible? Yeah, this value was 3 raised to the 3 into 2 raised to power 25 plus 1, and we have calculated LHS here. This is basically your LHS. We will just substitute it here in the original equation, and from there we will get the value of f of 1. Don't simplify it, we will require it again because now we will finally move to this which we have to calculate. Big page, don't worry, it's not difficult to follow. I is equal to 6 till I is equal to 30, f of 6, f of 7 up to f of a of 30. Again, f of a1 into d raised to f of into d raised to power 5. We have seen all of this, okay? Or it's not d is basically f of d, but it's not d is basically f of d, but it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. F of whatever it is, its value is 2. So f of a1 times 2 raised to the power 5 because f of d is 2. F of a1 into 2 raised to power 6, so on till 2 raised to power 29. Again, these terms get common, we can take it out. Again, we get a GP of this form. Again, we have to just be a little careful of the exponents, and when we'll simplify it, you will get this term. As I said, f of 1 from the previous page. As I said, do not simplify that further. Then f of 1 you put it here. This you already have. It will cancel out beautifully. You will get 3 into this is 32, and this is the answer is 96, which is the answer. Then the value is 96. That was the solution of this question. Now, the reason why I chose this question is, now if you have been to any JEE class, if you have talked to any mentor, many of them will say that attend the classes regularly, solve the classroom questions, revise your notes. In this question, tell me if there is anything that is outside of even the basic of theory. Highest of equation that you used was the sum of GP, and that too is a very basic equation, right? So there's nothing here that is very intricate when it comes to the theoretical part of it. So any student who has attended all the classes or the majority of the classes, who has solved, let's say, like, he has solved whatever is given. Maybe he is not able to solve all the questions at first try, and he has to ask a lot of doubts, but these questions, if you are regular in your class, then you will be able to solve them. And JE always has questions like this. So this is like an easy to medium kind of a question. Plus, as I said, this is not a question where you will make errors when it comes to the exponent. Because as I've told you many times, whenever we do sequence and series, the exponent that we have to choose whenever we are subtracting terms or whenever we are applying the formula is one where people get confused. But in this question, even that is not the case. So, as I've said, if you are regular in your classes, these are the kinds of questions you will be able to solve in any JE paper, and JE will always have such questions. Which is why I said that this can be a question to check your progress if you are being regular in your classes and if you are paying attention to whatever the teachers are telling you. Now, if you were not able to solve this question, then also it's not a big thing to worry about. Just keep in mind that oftentimes, many questions will be solved by even the most bare basic of theories. The previous question that I uploaded, if you have not seen it, check it out. Even that is a question from the same paper. As you might know by now, JEE is an exam which goes beyond theory and is often about how you are able to maintain your pressure in the exam situation. And on this page, we will continuously focus on that part of your journey. So please don't forget to subscribe to this page to come across videos that continuously reinforce this kind of thinking into your JEE preparation. Thank you.